One thing I've always loved about esports is that you get to make your own ID as a player, as a caster, as a community member, a fan. And that's kind of fun, right? You can pick a funny ID, you can pick a serious ID, a poetic ID, a meme ID, but not all IDs are made equally. And that's what we're here to rate. So this is going to be the first video in what may be a few of my videos where I rank pro gamer IDs. We're going to start with the ASL, and I want to know your feedback on this. Is this the kind of content you like? If so, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a lot more stuff like this, as well as other content in StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, and in the future Stormgate. And let me know if you agree or disagree with my take on this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different answers. I'm interested in seeing if there's sort of a universal consensus on what IDs really are good and bad, or if it's kind of all over the place. So we're going to jump into this right away. I did put my ID and Artosis's ID in the ASL lineup. I'm going to go ahead and rate myself to start with. Tasteless. This ID, personally, I'm very proud of. I think it's catchy. I think it's unique. I think it's a good length. I think it's memorable. So we're going to put me right here at an S. Let me know what you think in the comments. But frankly, I think my ID is pretty good. To get my co-host Artosis out of the way here, I think another great ID. You know, this is an ID he made when he was very young. Not really an ID that means anything, kind of a cool sounding name. Granted, both Artosis and myself did make our IDs when we were very little, as I'm sure maybe you did and many of the pro gamers did. It's cool. It's not as cool as my ID. Whenever I hear Artosis, I always think, I don't know, it sounds like the doctor's telling me, oh, you know, you got to stay in and rest a little bit. You've got Artosis, right? It kind of sounds a little bit diseasey. I don't know. It sounds like something your body would get with age. Excuse me, not AIDS. Maybe AIDS too, actually, now that we're on the topic of that. But again, I do like the ID. Memorable, unique, catchy. I should ask this. I wonder if because the word art is in there was some reason for that. But again, a good ID. And now we're going to get into the meat of this. By the way, to be clear, I am going to try to detach myself as much from the player's skill as possible. Although I do think some IDs require you to be of greater skills than others, if that makes sense. Some IDs are asking a lot, you know, as far as the other person's opinion of them, and making a real statement about where your ability's at. But in general, I'm going to try to not just focus on player skill. And I'm going to be picking these sort of randomly as far as what, you know, sticks out to me. Immediately, I see the ID killer here. This ID. In all the pro gamers' defense here, again, this is an all-Korean lineup. You know, some of these IDs, maybe they sound better in Korean. You put it into the English language, doesn't sound as good. I think this is an example of that. Killer, sort of catchy, but I think it kind of misses the mark. I kind of get what he's going for. I feel like not that unique sounding. Again, nothing against these guys over here, but again, an ID I wasn't exactly wowed by. We did not get an F category, although maybe I should have put an F category for this video, but you know, not an ID that I thought was a very strong one at that. My eyes go right to best here. Now, this is an example of, I think, exactly a mid-tier ID. I like any kind of idea trying to say you're going to be number one. I don't feel like this is the catchiest way to do it. I think if you had more of a witty way to have this ID come out, could be good. But, you know, again, not a bad one either. Definitely an ID you're going to remember. And, you know, it's kind of short. It's concise. So that's what we're going to put best. I think right at the B, again, you know, a C rank, even a D rank, not terrible, but I think some IDs are made better than others, right? Flash as a player, I think you guys are probably thinking about a lot here. I'm going to rank this ID, again, not based off skill, but I feel like this is actually such a catchy ID. It goes right at the top. StarCraft is a game that requires APM. You got to be fast. I don't know if he named himself after the superhero Flash or just, you know, the idea of speed in general or a flash of light. But, you know, this is an excellent StarCraft ID. You're never going to forget it. Even people that don't know anything about StarCraft, they're going to remember Flash. Named himself after Flash people in public. Very good chat. So, again, excellent ID. That one goes right to the top. Easy call for me. And, again, you know, it certainly doesn't hurt that he is the best StarCraft 1 player, but at the same time, just, you know, an overall good ID at that. Down to Shuttle. Now, I see what Shuttle's trying to do here. We're putting him at a C. Let me explain why. Shuttle is an ID and I think there's nothing wrong with going for a unit's name. You know, the shuttle is a great unit. You could express your play through it. But shuttle as a unit itself, I don't know. It's not a catchy name. His other ID name was Eyewater, which I believe is actually a kind of funky translation from the ID tier. I think that's what he really meant to be is tier. But yeah, shuttle, not bad, you know, but I think a little bit below average here when we look at the IDs. Over here to, some of you guys might read this as Harang 2. This is actually Harang E. 2 in Korean is pronounced E, and so this is a Korean word that means tiger. I think not bad. You know, again, it can be a little bit difficult to, you know, the Western ear to kind of delineate, and I would be curious about some Koreans' feedback on the Korean IDs here, what they think of my rating of this. But I think that's cute. I think that's catchy. I've never been the biggest fan of trying to add letters or numbers in there. I guess the best example of adding numbers in a word ID that was pulled off was Fatality, the best Quake player way back in the day. Some of you my age may remember him. But I'm gonna put it actually at a B. I think it's okay. I think it's above average. Definitely better than Shuttle and Killer. JYJ. This is a band, an older band. I don't like it. Not a huge fan of the group, the pop group. I don't know why you'd name yourself after a group that's already been named. Does that make sense? Is that just an acronym for his name? Oh, then you might be right, Into the Sky. Am I incorrect about that? I had assumed it was based off the group, but in that case, maybe I need to be more generous. And by the way, any Koreans in the chat, feel free to chime in if there's a meaning that I don't know. Jinyoung Jae. Okay, now see, I hadn't thought of that. Okay, so I was going to put this at a D. I thought he actually named it after the group. We're going to put it at a C. We've saved him from the D. Now that I'm looking at this list, I probably should have made an F rank, but yeah, you know, not that great. Not crazy either. Movie, this ID, not a big fan. I did once know a Korean that was named Younghwa. That's the Korean word for movie. Honestly, I think this is just not a good ID. I think we got to throw him into the D pile. I think movie is just not catchy. And again, some of this is coming from a Western eye, a Western ear. But movie, not exactly a great ID. I mean, do we all agree on that? I think that's a fair assessment. Over to Royal. This is one I really like. Not at the very top, but it's memorable. If you're a good player and you could pull this ID off, it's epic. The word Royal, I like how it stands out. I like the capitalized L here at the end. You know, messing with the capitalization of IDs can be a little bit fun, but I think this is a good ID. I think it's one you're not going to forget. And so we're going to put him right up at the top at A. Over here to an ID that I've always liked. And again, I'm kind of just glancing down at the pile and picking out what comes, you know, what sticks out, good or bad. An ID that you take, and I think this is a better example of what Shuttle tried to do, is this ID, Fire Bat Hero. Okay? This is a fun one. Slammin'. Goes right to the top. You got a unit that's kind of okay, but obviously very memorable. He's a Terran player. It lines up nicely. Hero. We've all had a moment where we've seen a Firebat be a hero in a game, even if it isn't, you know, the definitive Terran unit. It's a bit of a black sheep unit, you know. I like this ID. I think you can like this ID. English, Korean, no matter how you cut it, you get it. And honestly, it's sticky. You don't forget about it. So we're going to put that right there at the top. All right, I might need some help from the chat here. Mong, what is the meaning behind this ID? Because for me, Mong, it doesn't really stand out. It doesn't really, not memorable, but obviously this is a Korean, you know, kind of Korean language ID versus a Western ID. I don't know. I think we got, sorry, Mong, you're going into the C pile. Not good, not bad, you know, passing, but I don't know. You know, I think English or Korean, it could be a little bit better here. Going over to Barracks. I'm tempted to put Barracks' ID pretty low. It's not a fun ID for a Terran unit. It's kind of like, you know what it is? It's like Shuttle, but maybe even worse. I think we got to put Barracks at D. It would be like if you named yourself Marine. Like if you remember the pro gamer The Marine. I think The Marine is even a better ID than Marine, but you know. Yeah, Barracks, it's just not an ID I really like. Now, Soma over here, and Koreans in the chat, correct me. Is Soma a word that I'm just not familiar with here? When I think Soma, I think, wasn't that the drug they used in the Brave New World? Am I correct on that? Soma was the drug they used in the Brave New World, but I don't, is that what he named this after? Or is there another meaning in Korea or a word I just don't know in Korean? I'm not sure. Not a huge fan of Soma. Soma's gonna go to a C. Yeah, it could be better. Not that memorable either. I find it more forgettable compared to the other IDs here. Going to Stork. First of all, as a player, this is hard. I've been a student of Stork for a long time. A tier, chat, you're insane. Unbelievable. Stork is, okay, I'm going to just have to lay down the law here. Ooh, I'm thinking C. Stork is a strong, no. Now, see, you guys are corrupted. This is why you need me here. Off just the player's ID, guys, not their ability. I think there was a lot of other birds that he could have picked. Yeah, Stork brings babies. That's not helping you when you're a StarCraft player. All right, guys. I'm banging my javel here. Order in the chat. While we're hurting feelings, let's move on to Jaedong here. Jaedong, definitely a better ID than a Stork or a Soma. Obviously, this is in his actual name. It's literally just his name. That's the thing. It's just his name. A lot of people saying A. Some people saying B. A. I think it's B. I think it's a good ID. Obviously, one of the greatest players of all time. It's like Madonna. Very good, chat. It's like Madonna, okay? Which is also a perfectly good ID. Let's do Gumchi. Is Gumchi have a meaning that I don't know? Yeah, I think it's in the D pile. I'm glad we're all on the same page. It's just not a good ID. Again, great player. Going to 0 here, also known as Queen. This is a great ID. Bam. Easy peasy, right into S. 0, it sticks out. There's something epic about, you know, especially if you're going to be good. Putting this at S, I think it's an easy call. Memorable, cool. I see some of you saying A tier. I could see it as A tier too. This is, you know, subjective. Bisu. Bisu means dagger. I feel we got to put Bisu into A, personally. I think A is fair. It's almost S, by the way. But I think A is a fair rank. Those of you who said not, you know, it should be an S, I get that. I think A, good. I still think IDs like get Firebat, Hero, or Flash. Those are just better IDs. Effort, I feel like we got to put this right into B. It's a decent ID. The 0's okay. Don't know if the 0 for the O it changes it that much. It's a good ID. It's good, guys. B is not bad. But, you know, it's great. It's certainly not a C-tier ID, and I like it. You know, effort, it takes a lot of effort to be a good player, right? Says something about yourself. Scan. Let's go with Scan here. Scan, this is a tough one. Again, Scan, I like Scan. I've had the pleasure of actually hanging out with him a little bit. I think, you know, it's a good Terran ID, obviously referencing the scanner. I think it's short. I think it's memorable. I think we got to put this one over here. Oh, it's A or B? I think we put it at B. Sock, I've never been a fan of this ID. Good player, obviously, like all these guys. I think it's got to go to D. Am I crazy? Compared to the rest of the IDs, there's no way you're going to put Sock up high on the list. And the more I thought about this ID, the more I liked it, and that was Sulky's, which we're going to put up here at A. Sulky is really rememberable. It's a great 2-syllable ID. I'm tempted to put it into S, but I think it's really got to have that extra level. Going over to Saxery. Sorry, Saxery. Great player, again, like most of these guys. Like all these guys, actually. Yeah, he got to get garbed there. Free is trying to do what kind of your best is doing, your Scan is doing, but it's not as good. And I see chat already. You beat me to it, guys. C is where it goes. We all agree. Going over to Light. Now, I really like this ID. And I think this is one that's got to go, wha-bam, right up to the S. It's an S-tier ID. It's strong. And you know what's good about it, too? There's not a whole bunch of other people named Light in esports, which we're going to be talking about a little bit more as we go through more of these IDs. Light is a fantastic ID. Short, simple, memorable. On to one that kind of is in that same vein that I'm not sure that I like is Beast. Beast, I don't know. I think it's a bad RTS game ID. Am I right about this? Yeah, it sounds too middle schooly. Like, when I was a kid, I went to a PC cafe in Kansas City, and I must have been like 5th, 4th grade, something like that, watching people play Quake. And I saw this guy's ID, and his ID was Acid Bath. And being a 5th or 4th grader, I thought, that's a cool ID. But now that I'm an adult, not a cool ID. I kind of feel like that with Beast. Korean word for Beast is Yasu. I feel like that's kind of, maybe that's what he was trying to go for. Doesn't speak to me. Okay, let's go to Hero. You know, we were just on the topic of overused IDs. Hero's a excellent player. This ID, though, let me tell you something. If you're a young guy and you're looking at this, maybe you want to be a Stormgate Pro. Maybe you're going to be an ASL champion in 15 years. Hero is the most overused ID ever. Hero could be up at B, could maybe be up at A, but dude, too many people have the same ideas. It's a cliche now. There's too many heroes in StarCraft alone. There's just too many heroes. Again, it's not a bad ID, so it can't go into D, but we got to put it here into C. No, not in the garb pile, chat. This one goes to the back of the fridge, where the C IDs go, right to the back of the fridge, to that shelf that we're too tall to see into. Not in the garb pile. And again, that's only because this is an ID that has not aged as well. C is just average. And you know, while we're on that note, an ID that we also see too much of, look who it is, Rain. Now, one of the things about these players is that these guys probably ID'd themselves being the first of their names, but it hasn't aged as well. Now, this one can't be in the same situation that Hero's in. I think Rain is an even better ID than that, but I think this has got to go to B. This was probably an A rank ID 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It didn't age well. It's going to go into the B pile. If you're a future pro gamer, don't name yourself Rain. Try to get an ID that can be yours, that you can live your whole life with. There's a reason why that both Hero and Rain are popular IDs, but you know, there's too many. Gamo's reaction in this photo is I feel like his reaction is the way I'm reacting to his ID. Doesn't look happy in this picture. It looks like in this picture he's saying D. Over here next to Larva. I think this is one of the most iconic modern StarCraft players. And I have to try to separate myself from that when I try to rank the ID. Because I really like Larva. I actually got to spend time in Los Angeles with him. Larva is an ID that obviously is coming from the fact that Larva can be any Zerg unit. I like this idea. I like this idea. I don't think it's like Firebat Hero, though. At the same time, I don't think it's as bad as Shuttle. At the same time, I think it's better than Scan. And these are all IDs that are trying to do the same thing. I think we put him at an A. And if I could rank the A's inside of that, I'd put him at a low A. And chat, those of you saying S, I mean, think with your mind, not with your heart here, okay? It can't be an S ID. We're not ranking them based off skill, chat. We're ranking them based off the quality of the IDs. People just showing up here, losing their minds. Here's another ID I like that I think is concise, not overused, memorable, last. Here we go. Right up into S. It's easy to remember. Yeah, that's right, chat. It sounds epic. A lot of people in chat don't agree, but I'm telling you, man, this is a quality ID. And there's no way you're going to get me to not have this stay up here at the S rank. Sharp, I feel like Sharp is sort of trying to go for what Last and Light and Zero have done. But I'm telling you right now, Sharp is good, but if there's something that's not quite as sticky, I think we got to put Sharp up into the A category, maybe B. I was feeling B earlier today as I'm kind of talking and thinking this through. I think especially when you're talking about StarCraft, having a sharp mind or a sharp blade, something like that, that's cool. Now, here's where I'm conflicted. We're going to go right to, we're going to go to Mind here. I don't know if I like Mind. I don't know why. There's something about this ID that bothers me. Am I the only person here? Yeah, something about this ID bothers me in a way that is that Light or Last or Zero don't. And I got to go with my gut here, guys. It does seem a bit pretentious. Yeah, I feel like you got to live up to the... If Mind was the greatest player of all time, that would be another story. But I feel like we got to put this right up here. B. This would be a B-. I struggle with that ID. It's not as good as the other ones. Leda. I feel like Leda just goes into D. Do we all agree? All right, you know what? I'm going to move them up for you guys, chat, because I did like Artosis is just a word, and Leda is also just a word. We're going to put it into C. C is where we'll put Leda. I'll leave it at that. Shine. Shine, I'm not sure about this one. Not a bad ID, but it is worse than Light. I'm feeling a B for Shine. I think Sharp is a better ID than Shine as an example. But I think Shine is a better ID than Free, if that makes sense. And certainly a better ID than Movie. And again, guys, there's no shame in going to B. Okay? No one's getting kicked out of ID school for getting Bs, okay? Shine, not a bad... You know, maybe Shine should go down to a C. I don't know. Let the record show that I'm a little bit conflicted. Maybe we'll put it back down to C. I felt like he was sinking through B. Russia's... Not terrible. I feel like this was, again, another ID. I don't feel like it aged that well. It's not that memorable to me. And let me tell you something. If you stick with this ID, it's not going to age well in the future. I got to put it here. Ruin is an example of a Rush ID that I like a lot more. And I'm torn between A and B for Ruin here. I think it's A. Yeah. I like Ruin as an ID, and I don't see a lot of Ruins. I think it's an easy ID to remember. Snow. Snow is S. Interesting. I feel like Snow is on par with Ruin or Royal, not as good as Light or Last. I'm putting Snow into the A category for IDs. Yeah, S would be my bias for him just being a god tier Protoss. And Mini, I think we put Mini right at a B. It's not a bad ID. It's actually pretty good, but it's not great. And I think this is a fair place to put him. I think it is superior to the IDs that we see listed down here. And I did see that my editor forgot one other ID, so we're going to have to just edit this into the image. Action should be an S tier ID. Action should be an S tier ID. And so that does it, guys. Thank you for joining me for this. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm sure I've upset a lot of people doing this. But this is kind of fun to explore the IDs and, you know, give my thoughts and hear your thoughts on that. Do check out tastelessthreads.com. We've got cool merch there, like this APM band style, punk rock style shirt you can check out, as well as a lot of other cool stuff. Thank you so much for watching.